Hello and welcome to this demonstration of my single-player mission for training for the Su-25T Advanced badge. In this mission we will primarily look at weapons deployment, including unguided rockets, unguided bombs in CCIP and CCRP modes, gun pods, and guided missiles including anti-radiation missiles. And I will go into the mission planner to show the details of the mission. We will take off from Kabuleti, we will spawn on the runway, and we will have the armament as follows. We will be carrying on the center pylon a Phantasmagoria Elend pod, and on the innermost pylons we will have two FAB 500 bombs. Next we will have two SPPU 22 gun pods. Outside of that we will have one KH-25 ML laser guided missile and one KH-25 MPU anti-radiation missile. Finally, on the outermost or second outermost pylons we will have 20 S8 unguided rocket pods. Our mission will be as follows. We will take off from Kabuleti and we will head up to marching altitude. We will come to our initiation point or IP over here. From that point we will head due south towards the abandoned airfield. On our way to the airfield we will see several targets which we will engage using various weapons as follows. First of all, we will have one unarmed transport, a single truck, which we will engage using rockets. Second, we will encounter another truck which we will engage using the gun pods. The third target will also be a truck. We will engage this using one of the bombs in CCIP mode. Next we will encounter a half squadron of infantry which we will engage with the other 500 kilogram bomb in CCRP mode. In the final stretch of this part we have one CSU-23 mounted on a truck. We will engage this using the KH-25 ML laser guided missile. Once we have done that, we will turn north and then northwest, and we will engage a SA-10 search radar up here using the KH-25 MPU anti-radiation missile. And that will conclude this demonstration. So, without further ado, let's jump into the plane and get airborne. So, here we are at Kabuleti Airfield, runway 7. We have a fully loaded and fueled aircraft, and our flaps are down, and our gears are down, and our lights are on, and our brakes are in. So we are all ready to go. I'm just going to power up and we will be on our way. And at the current configuration with this loadout, my takeoff speed will be approximately 260 kilometers per hour, which I should reach about halfway down the runway. 200, 220, 240, 260, and rotate. And we're up. Gear up. Flaps up. I'm gonna let the autopilot take over. Now, apart from weapons deployment, you need a couple of other things. You're going to need to have a look at the radar warning receiver, which is down here. It should come on any second. There we are. I'm not going to go over that now, but you're going to have to know how to use that one, as well as using your various countermeasures, ECM pods, and the chaff and flares, and optical countermeasures of various kinds. You will also have to describe the notch maneuver. I'm not going to go over this in this video. There are other videos describing that. And you're also going to need to describe how to use the HSI for target acquisition and identification. All of those things are a bit more to learn, but still very much doable for just about anyone. Now, we are gonna head on over to our target area. I'm gonna switch over to level flight, and I'm gonna fence in to air-to-ground mode, switch to rockets, and I'm gonna activate the squall. You can be old school and use Mark 1 eyeball to acquire your targets. Some people say it's badass. I say it's hard. And quite frankly, war is never about actually being a fair fight. It's stacking the odds in your favor. So, assisted acquisition and sighting it is. I know that my first target is going to be right on the other side of this little pond over here. So I'm going to find it, used in the squall. Actually put the reticle pretty much right on it. There we are. Now all that's left is lining up the second reticle. Wait for myself to get into range. I have the rangefinder on my left side, and as soon as I get the launch authorization, I just let her rip. Here we go. There we go. Target defeated. Turn away, and that's it for the first target. And there really is nothing more to it than that. Whether you are firing, as I did now, 80mm rockets, or 57mm rockets, or the 13cm rockets in the S-13, or even firing the S-24, S-25 single rockets, the same principle applies. On the second target, we're not going to use the rockets, we are going to use the gun pods, which I have on the second innermost pylons. In order to use those, I'm going to switch over to gun mode, and then I'm going to switch to the gun pod sub mode using control in space. So it says GNPD. Now my gun pods are active, and in this configuration I can actually change the pitch and the elevation of the gun barrels so that I can, in effect, fly straight over a target and strafe it as I go. Now I'm not going to be doing that here. What I am going to be doing, however, is let the targeting system assist me in using uh, my gun pods, so the targeting system will handle elevation. And this allows me to put more rounds on target, which for instance is useful if I want to engage, say, a BTR or another moderately or lightly armored target. So I'm gonna line up. I'm gonna acquire target number 2, which is over here somewhere. I believe. Let's see, there it is. Get in range soon, and I'm gonna hit Shift O to get my laser rangefinder, and this will allow me to actually train the barrels on the target that I have found. So I'm gonna change my pitch now, and you see that the elevation of the barrels change along with my aircraft, counteracting my effect. We're getting pretty close, so I'm gonna position myself. I still have to handle horizontal aiming myself, but vertical aiming, as you can see, is taken care of by the system. All I have to do is get it on and firing. And that's pretty much it. And that's it for my target. So I'm going to back out of gun pod mode. 2 targets are down, and now I'm going to demonstrate bombing in CCIP mode and then CCRP mode. Before I can do that, however, I'm going to have to adjust my gun system, or rather my bombing system, because right now it's set to release my bombs in pairs, and since I have exactly 1 pair of bombs, it's gonna release all of them at the exact same time. This I do not want, so I will change the setting of my bombs using the weapons control panel, which we can find down here. I will change the number of bombs, set on 2 to 4 and all and 1, and then I will set the ripple setting from all to the special setting for KMGU submunition system, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. If I have the system set like this, and I, for instance, put number 2, this means I will release both bombs at a 0.1 second interval. If I put it like 1, 1, it means I will only release 1 bomb, which is exactly what I want. So, with that done, we're gonna head up to a reasonable altitude so that we have enough time to acquire and dive in on our target. Get a little more speed. the volume, because I don't need to hear the radar warning receiver right now. There we go. While I keep climbing, I'm going to acquire the third target, which is right over here. There we are. Gonna head up to about somewhere in the area of right below 2,000 meters. That will give me a good time to fire. Now, the different bombing modes, we are actually currently in CCRP mode. And the system will switch from CCRP mode to CCIP mode as I get in range. And when I do, I will get a vertical line going up through the HUD with the bombing reticle at the lower end. And that will tell me, the reticle will then tell me the impact point, which is what CCIP means. It means continuously calculated impact point. So, in order to fire, all I have to do is get down onto the target, wait for the line it up, and there we go. And kaboom. And as you see, I only dropped one bomb, which was exactly what I wanted. For pinpoint strike, where you have the opportunity to dive down on your target, this is really the way to go. It allows for a much more controlled release of the bomb and a much smaller margin for error. If you cannot do this, if you have to, for instance, stay at a certain distance because of ground fire, you can instead use the CCRP mode. So this is what I'm gonna explain right now. And as I said, the difference between the two modes, it selects back and forth automatically, and we are currently in CCRP mode. And if I direct the lower reticle, which is the CCRP reticle, down onto the ground and pull and hold the trigger, you see that I get a diamond shape down on the ground, and I get a circle right above the aircraft symbol on the center of the HUD. I'm going to turn off the squall, and you see I still have that reticle. That means if I keep the tip of that aircraft reticle on the spot in that circle, my bomb will land where I previously aimed. And you also see the timing arrow going down. I'm going to release the trigger now ahead of time because I don't want to drop the bomb here. I want to drop it on the target. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the squall back on, and we're going to find the little infantry squadron or half squadron, which is hanging out in the field. There we are. Of course, those guys being small and sneaky, they're going to be pretty hard to spot. There they are. Gonna put the reticle in the middle of that little gathering. And then all I have to do is put the CCRP reticle over the targeting reticle so that they match up. And then pull my trigger. I can release and reset if I'm not happy, which I wasn't. Nope. There we are. That's good enough. Now I'm just gonna fly straight and level, and I'm gonna keep the tip of my aircraft reticle in the middle of the circle at the top, and that should bring me to a firing solution. And we'll get a tone and a clank, and our bomb is away. And we can actually look at it and see how well it will actually match up. And it looks like we're going to get a pretty good hit. Excellent. The last weapon that I'm going to demonstrate at this stage is the KH-25. Now, the KH-25 is found in two different configurations, and we're going to start off with the laser-guided variant, the 25ml. The 25ml is there on my starboard side. For some reason my gun pods are active, which they shouldn't be. Weird. Anyway, here we are. Firing the 25ml is pretty simple. One thing you need to remember is to engage your laser rangefinder, which is the same as we used with the gun pods, because that is what will be guiding the missile. We'll be painting the target and guiding the missile. So we're just going to find our target, which is at the far end of the abandoned airbase, airfield. There we are. And we're just going to saunter on over there, get within range, and fire. Now the difference between a 25ml and, for instance, a Vickr is that the 25ml looks for the painted target. So when I fire here, as I get launch authorization, fire, you see that the missile is actually taking off at a slight angle upwards and going sort of a ballistic trajectory, and there our target is down. The difference with the Vickr is that we will actually the Vickr will actually ride the laser beam from the airplane, so rather than looking ahead for a painted target, it's looking behind at the laser from the aircraft. The difference this does is that as we maneuver, we may maneuver the aircraft to a point where the missile actually loses track of the laser beam, and it will stop tracking and go ballistic. and most likely miss the target. So when you're firing a Vickr, you cannot maneuver around as much as you would do when you're firing a 25 ml or for instance an S25L. The last configuration of the MP20 or the Cage-25 is the MPU. I have it on my port side. It's the one with the pointed nose. My gun pods seem to be acting up again. I don't really know why, but that's technology. And in order to use those, we're going to activate the gun pod at the bottom, and we'll turn on to the target, and we will then find our target superimposed on the HUD in the shape of the little diamond. And all we have to do then is put our reticle on the diamond and lock on. Now there is a slight problem with these anti-radiation missiles, as this will actually lock on to the enemy radar and track that in. The anti-radiation missiles in DCS at the moment have a shortened trajectory, which means it will actually hit the ground way too soon. Sometimes even before it actually discovers the target. In order to counter this, we will have to go much closer to the target than we normally do. This is not a problem in this instance because my target over here is a search radar that is unarmed. Normally this search radar would be part of a SAM battery, an SA-10 battery, and I would actually be well within firing parameters of that battery before I even got the theoretical range in for my own missile, which means in effect that I would have to be ducking and weaving and evading missiles for a good while until I actually got to a point where my own missile could actually do any real damage. We are getting pretty close now. I'm gonna go over these, past these lakes, and then I'll fire, and the missile should not have too much of a problem acquiring the target. This should be close enough. Magnum. And of course it is supersonic, so the system is going to be loud, but there we go. We should have a lock. Yes, we do. And we should hopefully also hit the target. Well, almost. This is something that can actually happen every once in a while using these missiles. They will actually not hit the target at all. Hence, back to slightly less of a high-tech solution. We'll go in with the gun pods and finish the job.
Pull up. Pull up.
And this concludes my demonstration of my training mission to prepare for the advanced badge of the Su-25T. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. and I will see you in the air.